Joe Diaz says that Terence Crawford could be potentially have more levels than Canelo Alvarez. And also, he said Terence Crawford does have a chance to knock out Shawn Porter. Let's talk about it in this video. King Jr. got another video for y'all. So Joe Diaz was asked some questions about Terence Crawford by being the pound for pound king and all this other stuff, and he also stated that Terence Crawford he deserved to be pound for pound king and stuff like that. He's just got a lot of levels to it, and here's my take on the whole situation. I think Joe Diaz is somewhat right. Joe Diaz, he's a great boxing mind. He gives his perspective on it. Shout out to him. I think that Terence Crawford does have a lot of levels to this boxing game. We're going to have to see if Terence Crawford really is the pound for pound king. This is going to be one of the toughest opponents Terence Crawford has faced so far in his career. Even though you could say Gamboa, all these other people, Thomas DeLorme gave him problems, or even Me Machine. Well, those guys gave him some problems, but they didn't give him big problems. Shawn Porter is a big problem, and if Terence Crawford can knock out Shawn Porter, that's going to speak volumes, because Shawn Porter has never been knocked out. He has been dropped, but he has never been knocked out. If Terence Crawford do it, this will solidify him to deserve to be the pound for pound best. But Terence Crawford is not the pound for pound best, because you know why? Canelo Alvarez is the pound for pound best. Now, Terence Crawford, a couple weeks ago, I made a video stating that Terence Crawford is coming for Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. So eventually, a while back ago, Terence Crawford says that he was not willing to fight Canelo Alvarez because he was just too big in size. But something in his mind made Terence Crawford realize, you know what, they calling this dude the pound for pound king. I need to fight this dude now. So I don't think that Canelo will give Terence Crawford a shot. Stylistically, I don't think Canelo will want Terence Crawford. Maybe Canelo do want him, because he probably wants Terence Crawford right off the jump. If he decides to go to 160, if Canelo is willing to go down, if he can even make 160 again, which I highly doubt. But these guys are really going to have to jump up in a lot of weight to fight Canelo Alvarez. I don't see anybody. I don't see Errol or Terence Crawford fighting Canelo Alvarez no time soon, because Canelo Alvarez is just too up high in weight, and it's going to be harder for him to make that weight. But Terence Crawford, a lot of guys say Terence Crawford has this skill, has that skill. He has more than Errol Spence Jr. He has more than Jerron Boots. And yes, Terence Crawford is a skilled fighter, okay? You can't take that away from him. But, you got to recognize the other fighters as well. Terence Crawford's just not the only one with skill. Now, he may have certain levels above maybe an Errol Spence Jr. and Jerron Ennis, but we got to remember, Terence Crawford's getting old. He's an old dog. He's 34 years of age. Wow, they did not update that. Well, he's 35 years of age now, but Terence Crawford is getting old. He's not going to be the same fighter once he get out that 30. When he gets out 36, 37, he's going to start to fade. And Terence Crawford, you see him starting to tell everybody, look, we got to make these fights happen. And Terence Crawford has one more fight with Top Crank, which will be with Shawn Porter. And we're going to see if that belt, Terence Crawford will be allowed to take that WBO belt somewhere else, because, Bob Arum is with the belt and stuff like that. But Joe Diaz says that Terence Crawford does have a lot of levels to this game. He is the pound for pound best. I think he is pound for pound. He's got to prove it to me against Shawn Porter. Terence Crawford knocks out Shawn Porter or stops him. That speaks volumes. That's going to raise his name. And Terence Crawford could be back in the mix to be the most feared welterweight. Maybe, well, right now it's just Jerron Ennis, the most feared welterweight. But Terence Crawford stopping Shawn Porter will be looked at as the most feared welterweight in boxing. Everybody want to say Jerron Ennis, but Jerron Ennis is good. He's ready. But the thing about it is, Jerron Ennis has not built his name up yet like Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. These guys took years and years to build their name up. I know Jerron wants the big fights, but think about this guy. Y'all remember how everybody was hyping Julian J. Rock Williams to fight Jamal Charlo at 154, and Jamal Charlo was barely straining to make the weight and stuff like that. Everybody say, "Oh, Julian J. Rock Williams is a skilled boxer. He's gonna do this. He's gonna do that." Yeah, he was gonna do this and do that, but and then when he got in the ring with Jamal Charlo, he looked like a complete amateur, and he got wound up getting dropped in the fight and got beaten very badly and stuff like that. And it's worrying me that same situation could happen with Boots. Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford are not scared of Boots, okay? They're not scared. They already called his name out before. Terence Crawford even said out his own mouth. He's very skilled. He's got a lot of skill, but that fight's just not going to happen right now. And Errol Spence Jr. even FaceTime Boots, say, "Look, you the little dog, I'm the big dog. You're going to get your shot soon." So both of these guys are not scared to fight Jaron Ennis. I believe Jaron Ennis could beat both of them. But it's not going to be easy because of level of experience. Now, if they decide to throw Jaron Ennis in there with Terence Crawford, which I say that Jaron Ennis could get Terence Crawford without 6 rounds, I'm not certain about that now, because Terence Crawford does have some levels that can expose Jaron Ennis. Because if you think about it, Terence Crawford is 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Jaron Ennis is 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. The only difference is in height. But Terence Crawford can actually outbox Jaron Ennis if he wants to. And you can arguably say that Terence Crawford has a chance to outbox and get away from Jaron Ennis, because Terence Crawford used a lot of lateral movement. He's just not going to sit there. Sometimes Errol Spence Jr., he gets too comfortable in that pocket, and he'll try to break you down that way. But some people say that if Errol Spence Jr. sitting in the pocket too long, Jaron can clip him and drop him or to get him knocked out. We'll have to see it to believe it. But Terence Crawford is an experienced fighter, does have a lot of levels. Do I think that he could be able to beat Canelo Alvarez in the future if Canelo Alvarez chose to fight him? Absolutely. I think he can beat Canelo Alvarez. But if you let Canelo Alvarez maintain that same weight at 168, he said, "Look, guys, I can fight you at 165. He's going to be comfortable. And it's going to be a much harder fight for these guys to even knock Canelo Alvarez out. Like, Terence Crawford has power in both hands. But I don't know if his power is going to translate up to 160 or even at a catch weight of 165 Canelo choose. So, but Terence Crawford has a lot of skills. All the other welterweights has a lot of skills. And I can agree with Joe Diaz on this opinion. But Terence Crawford's going to have to make some moves because he's getting up in age. And Terence Crawford prime is eventually going to start fading away. And he's got to get these big fights while he can. But with that being said, it is what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. This is your boy King Jr. I'm out of here. Peace.